right, as we play faster and faster, and fingers are moving faster, you can no longer bounce on the individual notes. So what happens is the action of the fingers, except for your thumb, which is usually a drop, the action of your other fingers pulls your wrist up as they're playing, pulls your wrist forward. So we get what's called a physical group. Say like this. And that's a very natural thing that happens when you play the piano. But in order for it to work, you need to have 5 really good fingers. And then the fingers propel this motion of the wrist. Okay? It's not the other way around. Doing something with your wrist isn't going to make your fingers move up and down. And I'm not quite sure of what the editor was getting at by grouping all of these notes together. He's taking the 6 notes of every measure and grouping them together and then saying basically, this is a new beginning, this is a new beginning, and you get, so you're playing. And you're coming down here, and it's loud, and then it gets softer, and then you're dropping loud, and it gets softer, loud, and it gets softer. Obviously, this is not the way that Chopin intended it to be played. So let me show you the way that we can regroup these notes using what I call physical groups, which is the most natural way of playing when you're playing at speeds like this. And your first physical group, and I'll show you this down at the piano when we're done, but the first physical group begins here, so with a drop. And then your fingers are playing, and they're pulling your wrist progressively forward and higher. And that is the end of the physical group, right there on that D sharp. So I'm going to take this piece of paper instead of writing in the book. So we have that physical group extending from that G sharp, which is the quarter note on the 3rd beat of the last measure, and it's going to extend to this D sharp. And what this means is the beginning of this slur mark or phrase mark indicates that you drop. And as you play through the notes, your wrist gets progressively higher and higher and higher. And so at the highest point, it would be on your index finger playing on this G sharp.
Forgive me, I meant to say D sharp.
The next group begins on the G sharp where the thumb plays. And that extends all the way until we're just before the thumb playing for the 3rd time. So we have a drop, higher, 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 highest. And it goes on and on like this. Then we have another drop. Drop on the thumb, higher, 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 highest to this B sharp. There's that physical group. Then we have the thumb playing again on the F sharp this time. So that's where the physical group begins, and it extends to the 2nd finger on A over here. And that's the end. So that would be this. Drop, higher, 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 highest. Okay? Now we have drop to here, to this A, and then another drop. But let's just deal with this one first. So we have this going to there. So we have drop, higher, 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 highest. Now the next physical group is a little tricky. It starts on this D sharp here, right? This is a D sharp with your thumb. So that's where it begins, and it extends all the way to this G sharp here with your second finger. And you have to change the fingering of this C sharp to a 4. You don't want to be switching fingers at this speed. So what's happening is the C sharp is playing twice here, both with the 4th finger. And what you're doing is drop, higher, 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 highest. See that? Drop. All right, now I'll show you down on the piano when we're done. All right, so we're coming off of this, drop, and now we have another thumb. So our next group is 1, 4, 4. Just those 3 notes. And the next group are these 5 notes. And you want to keep, you notice that you have the G sharps played with the 4th finger. You want to keep your 4th finger on those G sharps. You don't want to make any switches at this point when you're playing this fast. So this next group from the G sharp is drop. All right? You're coming off of this. Here's the group. All right? All right, and then you just lift your hand up and you play the next group, which is this. And that's a 4-note group with 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you begin a whole new physical group beginning on this E. So you're coming off of this, you have, and here's your new physical group to that D sharp. So you're going all the way to here. All right? And then you just repeat, just recopy, what we have here. This is identical, and this is identical to that, this is identical to that. All right, and that brings us to this D scale, this D major scale in the middle of a C sharp minor piece. So what's that about? Well, we'll discuss that later. Let's just look at the fingering and the grouping first. Actually, if this is your first lesson in the Chopin series that you're looking at, the analysis of these 2 measures is in the previous lesson, which is lesson 7. Lessons 7 and 8 were originally one long lesson, and I had to break them up, and I realized that I wouldn't be able to fit the analysis of these 2 bars in this particular lesson. So these 2 measures are made up of basically an A major scale. Okay, I'll get into it later, but that's basically what this is. And you have one note that doesn't fit into the A major scale. You have this G. So you're starting with 2, 3, 4. Actually, the group to get into the scale begins on this thumb here. So that's your first group. And that's bringing you into this A major scale. All right, then you have another 3 fingers, 1, 2, 3. That's your second group, physical group. And you have another group. And another group, 1, 3. And then another group, 1, 2, 3. And another group, 1, 3. And then it's just chromatic scale. So we have a 2-note group here, 1, 3, followed by a 3-note group, 1, 2, 3. We're just going up the scale. And then we begin a chromatic scale, which actually is a series of just little groups, right? You'll have 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, 3. And as you go faster and faster, you know, you don't see the wrist moving as much, but that's what's happening. You're always coming down on the thumb. It's always a down motion. So to get to this D sharp from the D, you have a little down up, okay? And then you have the part of the chromatic scale where you play two white keys at the same time. So you have an E sharp, which is an F, and then an F sharp, right? So that's 1, 2, 3. That's a little group. And then your final little group is just that. And there you have it. So let's look down at the keyboard, and I'll try to give you a side view of this. Okay, so this is the best I can do. Whenever you're going to play your thumb to start one of these physical groups, you lift your wrist and you just drop. You drop the wrist. Don't even think of the finger. Just pick your wrist up, drop your wrist, and the finger, see, finger follows. It's like a whiplash action. All right, so that's what we're going to do. And here's your first group. Down, down, up, 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 up. That's your group. Practice that. Your next group is and your next group, the third one, is drop. And what's happening all the time is this. Drop, finger pulls you forward, finger pulls you forward, finger pulls you forward. Okay, the action of the finger flexing pulls you forward a little bit each time. Okay, next group on the F sharp. And we're playing, remember this is the A major part, so. Next group starts on the E, and that's the group. Next group's a little tricky because the fourth finger plays twice. Down, up, 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 up. Watch that one again. Down, up, 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 up. And the next group is just 3 notes. It's drop, and then we come all the way down to this G sharp to begin the next group, and we have drop. So it's almost all of the notes of that measure. And you see how my wrist, every time I play one of these groups, the wrist is like making a circle, right? So I start here, and then watch the wrist. See, and here's the beginning of the new circle. And what I would do is practice, when you practice these physical groups, disconnect to them. So you have all right, because that's really what's going to be going on when you're playing fast. All right, so we left off here, 1 and 2 and 3 and now we're in the third measure of the second line, and you just pick up and you drop, and there's your next group with 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you pick up and you begin a new group on the E, which extends to there, and then the next one. Next. Next. Next is the beginning of this A scale. And And then there's this G, right? 1, 3, and then we go up the A scale, and then we play a 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 5. Now watch how the whole thing looks. All right, now when we put the hands together, how are we going to meld the two? Because the left hand is going down, up, down, up. And the answer is, on that second note of the physical group, stay relatively low to correspond with your left hand. So you have, and then allow both the wrists to go up for the remainder of the notes each time. So we have this. I mean, I came up, but I'm not doing this, for instance. I'm staying low on that second note. And here, this is interesting because you have, remember I said to do, that's one group. So with your left hand, you're also going to go up when you hit that low G sharp, like that, but it's way down here. Okay? And that basically takes care of that. So, of course, you want to practice your left hand alone to be aware of what you're doing. Nice waltz. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Well, that should do it for today's lesson. I just want to thank you once again for joining me at Piano Power Lessons. Have a great day.